what is now we're in the top five. My goodness, we're already there.
In keeping intact with the political and the civil rights theme, my number five is another TV film, The Man.
Love it. Fantastic.
That so James plays Douglas Tillman, the first ever black president presented on film and TV. Literally the first. Move over Blair Underwood. Move over Morgan Freeman. You know, move over, I think Alfred Woodard played the president. And currently, Miss Bassett, love you dearly, but move over for a second. You know, just for a second.
Just for a hot second.
Come back. He conveyed the heavy burden so well. Just that moment of when they swear him in and that moment where he's given the position, he's just, and I see him, he's kind of in the shadows and he's by a wall. And he's like, you could tell he's on the verge of tears as well, because it's like he's grieving the loss of what just happened. He's thrust into a position that he doesn't believe he's ready for. The weight, he also knows the weight of what it means to be a black man and being black in general and being in this position of power and what this means for him, what this represents to his people. I felt the weight and the heaviness of him, and he portrayed that so well. I wrote down, uneasy lies the head that was given a crown with a kingdom that doesn't see them as a king. It's standout scene in the TV film to me. It's the press conference scene.
Yes.
To watch him in that scene, to watch him opposite, Burgess Meredith.
Great.
To just watch him opposite a lot of these great actors try to erase him and push him in the background until he could no longer be in the background and he had to come full front and take his power. That was just, he was the man.
He really was.
He was that man to me when I saw that film, dude.
On the tombstone of one of these slain good men is a quote from Genesis. Behold the dreamer. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and we shall see what has become of his dream.
Number five for me, I don't know, might be a surprise, but for me, it is the amazing romantic comedy Claudine.
Really?
Yes, because
that movie's much higher on my list.
Oh, I'm so happy.
I'm interested in why it's there for you.
Why it's there. I know, and I love it so much. And it's funny how James Earl Jones didn't think much of it when he initially did it.
Carol, I mean, brother, Diane Carroll is just like, that's the well-received that come on. Like,
come on. Being literally one of the, I think, honestly, I already did a video on her, the second Black actress to be nominated for an Academy Award in the lead category. It's unbelievably iconic, and them together, it just breathes nothing but magic. Such a perfect meshing together of two parties that you don't think should go together, but they absolutely should.
Yep.
And it tests, the challenge of the man of like stepping into that greater responsibility as that, father figure.
And the fear.
Yes.
He underplayed it for a minute, and then he had to get more involved with it, and then he realized what it was going to cost him and how unprepared he was. But the idea of life is we're never prepared. I don't think you're ever prepared, buddy, to fall in love.
No.
Nobody can ever prepare you who you will fall in love with, the time in which you'll fall in love with them, and how it's going to change you. And the more you try to fight against love and the more you try to run away from it, the harder it is going to be. It's going to keep pursuing you until you either lean into it or until you isolate yourself. But to isolate yourself means you lose out on a very good thing. It was a pure reflection of that time.
Oh, very much.
The time that we're actually living in right now, too.
Yes, very much.
I know women in Claudine's situation. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it.
Yes.
I've never dated a woman in that situation, but I know what that situation is, and it is not a pretty situation. It is not easy to live off of the system or to rely solely on the system. It is not easy to continue to fall in love and think that you met the one only for things just to not work out, but for you to be responsible and to stick it out because it's the right thing to do. That speaks volumes to the character of a man or a woman That speaks volumes to the validity of family.
There's one thing you better know, and that is, I love all of y'all.
My number 4 is my childhood, sir. The Lion King.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
Wow, just that number 4. Oh my!
I know.
Now talking about me in full transparency, that's a little high.
Okay, all right. Well, hear me out on this one. Okay.
Yes.
It was a voiceover performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got a chance to physically see James become a lion and everything.
Right. That would have been a sight. Yeah.
With the character of Mufasa, it's Disney's Hamlet. Mufasa is probably one of the most beautifully tragic figures in cartoon history because I've never seen a character just die like that.
Exactly. Especially and your son to see it.
And for your son to have to witness it, and then for your son to be manipulated and gaslit by his uncle to run away, Simba, and never return. He's the father with the lessons that wanted to protect and give to his kingdom. All that he could. Only he had a brother who was jaded and wanted power and control. Only he was a terrible leader. His brother was a terrible leader. He just wanted the title. He wanted the throne. I'll never forget that scream, just, Scar, help me, brother. And then
Long live the king.
I cried to bits during that most heartwarming scene when he has to talk to Simba.
Simba, I'm very disappointed in you.
I know.
You could have been killed. You deliberately disobeyed me. And what's worse, you put Nala in danger.
I was just trying to be brave like you.
I'm only brave when I have to be. Simba, being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble.
But you're not scared of anything.
I was today.
You were?
Yes. I thought I might lose you.
Oh. I guess even kings get scared, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what?
What?
I think those hyenas were even scarier.
'Cause nobody messes with your dad.
To me, it's like one of the most perfect scenes just of father and son.
Hence what James said in the recording sessions and when they were working on The Lion King. They said he tried so many different things, but they was like, James, how do you think you should play Mufasa or something like that? He was like, what type of dad are you? And he says, I'm a fun dad.
Yeah.
I'm a goofy dad. Like with my son, when we talk or whatever, I'm serious with him, but I'm playful with him. And somehow they were able to really contrast those thoughts and ideas in the booth. And that's how they generated Mufasa. Mufasa is a dad. James is a dad. Mufasa is teaching lessons to his son because he said it himself, one day the sun will set on my time.
Mm-hmm.
It is a film that teaches kids about the future, the kingdom, the home. And if you're not careful, if you run away, you'll never stop running. And if you run towards the light and you run towards the kingdom of darkness, you can bring some light. You must fight for what you believe in. Fight for your people.
Yes. Number 4 for me is actually going to be a little change of pace, but it is a film that I remember seeing when I was just a young kid in school, actually. And it is the 1995 adaptation of the great Cry the Beloved Country.
Ooh.
It was one of the great novels that was later adapted into a 1952 film. He lived his secluded life within the country as a priest for so long, and now he needs to reconcile with his family. And it comes to find out that his son had murdered the white son of a very prominent white family. And it's really his story of this journey coming from this land exploring and having to get together with his family again after living for so long. And he has those moments of sincere regret. And he's a priest. He has gone his whole life of worship, helping other folks, helping the sick, helping the needy, having to be able to give to one another. And he himself having that pain of regret, having that pain of, oh, I failed my own son, I failed my own family. And because those stories are still so powerful, of people of the cloth that are still so human. He has that amazing moments with the father of the white son, Richard Harris, the amazing Richard Harris. And he is just, both of them are breathtaking in this film. But that moment when he has that meeting with him, but Richard is just really now so curious and inquisitive, like, what is it that you're really wanting to say?
It was my son that killed your son.
And it's just the look on both of their faces of just like, you felt this connection with them. The both of them, through this tragedy, can still be able to, like, we have to find a way of peace still.
It's exactly what Nelson Mandela preached about when it came to the apartheid as well.
Exactly.
There has to be peace and forgiveness amongst us in order for us to truly make a form of progress in this world. It's not about what you did, even though I know what you did. It's about what you can do now, what we can do together moving forward.
Yes. He was getting a lot of Oscar buzz for his performance, which sadly went on the wayside, because I think anybody, and it was a role that he took very seriously, and it was one of those roles where in interviews he had talked about it was something that really meant something for him, and it really shows through and through.
James loved the work, but you could tell when he loved the job.
Yes. Poetry that you get.
Poetry that he wrote and also won a Grammy for, if I'm correct, too. James Earl Jones, one part of that EGOT, he won a Grammy for writing a book or a collection of poetry that he also performed and recorded.
Oh, the greatest.
Number 3, I feel like you would know this one. Star Wars, Darth Vader.
Okay, this is the magical question now. Is there a particular film within the franchise that really...
His introduction, baby.
Yeah.
His introduction all day. I mean, all the others were great, but that introduction...
New Hope, yeah.
That was something different.
It was.
And at this time in James's life, he wasn't actually getting a lot of work. And he was kind of getting a little blackballed from certain black and brown artists in the industry because of his depiction, certain characters and what he was doing, whether it was on Broadway, off Broadway. I think he was, trying to get some soap opera gigs at the time. He quote unquote played the first black doctor on As the World Turns or something like that. And for him, it was like, it's cool being the first black doctor, but nobody really cares. You know what I'm saying? I'm just doing a job. I'm showing up and I'm working because I need to work and I like to make money and I have a wife. And then somehow George Lucas, he did a favor for George Lucas and he only got paid $7,000 to voice one of the most iconic characters in movie and space and sci-fi history, Darth Vader.
The Death Star plans are not in the main computer.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted? What have you done with those plans?
We intercepted no transmissions. This is a consular ship. We're on a diplomatic mission.
If this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador? Commander, tear this ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive.
In the earlier films, and what James was able to do, the fact that he was able to capture the vocal qualities while watching the actor do what they were doing.
David Prowse, yeah.
It's impressive. Because, it's not easy to do that. He was the first actor to find the vocal qualities of something or someone with the direction of George Lucas, match it to the performance on camera that George had captured, and the final product is one of the greatest villains of all times.
Ever.
I suggest we use it.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes, or given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fort.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
And on that same note, hilarious enough, same. Number 3, specifically, Empire Strikes Back. When it comes to that confrontation between he and Luke, and it's that dark, foggy, like below deck within the ship, where he's like, where Luke is just looking around, and then you hear his voice, and of course the camera is just shot at such a big master, and you see him in like shadow, and he just kicks his ass in that whole sequence, hand cut off and everything. The iconic, greatest, iconic realization.
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
No. It's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
No!
Luke, you can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
It's like you felt the Greek tragedy. You felt all the Shakespeare training. You felt like it literally was theater right there that happened before you. Hence, that's why it's so, propped up and so well remembered, because he treated it like it was Shakespeare.
Yes.
And he said, join me as we rule the galaxy as father and son.
Listen to how you just delivered that too, buddy. Just like, join, like that's an action. Join me.
Yeah.
As we rule the galaxy, father, and like, listen, that is a delivery.
It is.
That is, I'm calling you to action right now. That is Shakespeare. That is the classic. That is freaking acting, bro.
It is.
Number 2, you talked about it earlier. Claudine.
Yes. His Golden Globe nominated performance, indeed.
Yep.
Cool it. Your mama's going on a date, like a nice restaurant, some fine music.
It's gonna wind up chicken anyway.
I mean, again, man, Diane Carroll all day, every day. Beautiful. She was beautiful. She was feisty. She had that fire. She definitely reminded me of my mom. Just somebody that didn't take no mess, but somebody that was there and was there to always be a mother to her children, despite her children giving her grief and strife and hard times.
Right.
With his character, James, he became a supportive father figure who showed up for a woman that wasn't asking to be with him. Mm-hmm. His monologue scene in the welfare office, man. His monologue scene in the welfare office was amazing, and it was a study in the system and how corrupt it is. And it was also funny too, because I was watching Joe Jackson. I was watching Joe Jackson beat up Darth Vader in a bar.
Oh no.
And then literally Darth Vader hugging Joe Jackson says, "It's okay." It was just, I couldn't stop laughing at these moments in Claudine, but most importantly, it was watching these Chekhovian moments.
Yeah.
Suppose I do not marry this lady. Now, if I move in with her and do not tell you, then we're both crooks, right? But if I do tell you, then we're back to the income and the outcome and the deducting, and you drive me to drink. And you call a fraud if I spend $7 for a bottle of whiskey.
You can see his character is spiraling, and she's trying to take this from me, and she's trying to do this and this, just
Yep.
like he's just crying and eating.
Yeah.
It was also my first time seeing James really play a romantic lead.
Right. Yeah.
It was a character that I never thought I'd see him play, but he played it so well, and I saw a lot of myself in that character. He has all these isms and these little moments that you don't even realize you're doing until you do it, and then once you do it, it's like, that's why he's one of the best.
Because my number 2 is actually, you talked about it earlier, it is The Lion King.
Me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become.
Lion King 1000% was deeply my childhood, very much so. And I've never felt such a strong example. I mean, besides my own dad, whom I love so much, within Mufasa. Mufasa.
Ooh, say it again.
Mufasa. Ooh. Mufasa. I'm surrounded by idiots. But
it was a delivery, it was a beauty, it was a love, it was a joy, and it was a pleasure.
Yes.
Just hear Mufasa.
From the crawling ant to the leaping antelope.
Dad, don't we eat the antelope?
Yes, Simba, but let me explain. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so, we are all connected in the great circle of life.
Well, before we get into our very top spot, though, as always, we love to talk about our 5 little honorable mentions real quick.
Oh, man. It's hard even to have 5 with this one. First one, I'm going to go with Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, classic. Yes.
There's something about that. Yeah.
Child is commitment.
It's also something about that first look that he gives when he first steps on camera, and he has the woman, Conan's mom is looking at him. He just has no looks, and he just looks at her with that dead stare.
Yeah.
Turns his back. You don't know what he's going to do, and then never seen it coming. I can't believe I'm going to throw this one out there. Click.
Yeah.
It was a cameo again. I told you, James always made fun cameos. Shut up, James Earl Jones. No, you shut up.
Michael was eagerly awaiting the arrival of his lunch order.
Who's that, James Earl Jones?
James Earl does a lot of voiceover work.
Cry the Beloved Country, actually. I did put it is on my list, actually.
Nice.
The River Nigger.
Nice.
That was 4. I'm battling so hard, buddy. You gotta let me put these 2 together.
Oh yeah.
I gotta put Doctor Strangelove and The Hunt for Red October together as 1. I know it's not.
1, yes.
But 1 is technically his first in opening to his introduction in the cinema and Kubrick. You have The Hunt for Red October. Come on, bro. That's Sean Connery. That's Tim Curry. Alec Baldwin.
Yep.
Damn it, that was
Admiral Greer. Gosh.
Yeah,
that was a hard one for me.
Courtney B. Vance too.
Yeah, Courtney B. Vance.
For you, you're 5. Please.
My 5. Okay. Gosh, so hard.
I know.
Why? But first one was another made-for-TV film by Don's Early Lights, where he plays a general, also nominated for Best Supporting Actor for an Emmy. The Man is incredible. Matewan. There. So great. And next one is actually a controversial one, I'll tell you. It was the made-for-TV film of the play Paul Robeson that James Earl Jones did.
Yeah, that was the one that got him in a little bit of flack on Broadway, if I remember correctly, right?
Sure did. The one-man show that he did of playing Paul Robeson. Biggest flack, obviously, is maybe the script. The script is not very helpful. It is not very giving.
Yep.
And the big-time argument has always been that, well, it's Paul Robeson. One of the greatest and, amazing, monumental figures. Not just within Broadway, within the Black community, but just, ever. How can you ever really write a script that will be so giving for this person? Just like, can anyone ever really write a good script that will really pay the greatest honor to Martin Luther King? Well, Yes,
I mean, I think Ava DuVernay and what they did
yes,
for Selma was boycott as well with Jeffrey Wright, but
right.
You can never really depict a historical figure because deep down inside, I think as human beings, we don't want to always see the good in somebody. I think we want to see the flaws of somebody and what made them good or how they were able to hide the flaws to be good.
Right.
So that's why I think but it's funny because I think from the Paul Robeson era and when James was portraying him on Broadway to that TV film to even now, I think our society would look at that so much more differently.
Yes.
But you are right. The script has to show the layers and levels to the buffoonery as well as the beauty. Like, why would somebody behave and accept and do the things that they do? What were they fighting for? What were they trying to stand for?
Yes.
You know, when we think about the minstrel shows and those eras of history, those were crappy times.
Mm-hmm.
But if you also look at the minstrel era in history as well, it teaches you something.
Right.
You know, so which the minstrel show in that circuit, as painful as it was, it led to the Chitlin circuit, which gave Black and brown artists an opportunity to work. But what we don't also depict during the Chitlin circuit is also how dangerous it was for a Black and a brown artist to be going through parts of the South and what could become of them if they either didn't put on a good performance or if they didn't play into the audience's hands or if they didn't do what the white owners and the establishments told them to do.
Right.
There's this thing about history where we can chastise people for the wrong that they do and the depiction of what they're showing, and we have a right to do that. But my deal continues to be, as an artist, what could you do better?
Yeah.
James had no control because he's just an actor.
Playing the part as well as he did. And that same case in point, his performance is still fantastic. Utterly fantastic. Because once again, it's a one-man show where you just have the musical accompaniment. You have the pianist and singer on stage with you, just giving the musical accompaniment all throughout. And of course, James is singing. James is channeling all the way through from start to finish. My last pick within the honorable mentions is The Sandlot. Again, my childhood. I love him so much.
Benny the Jet Rodriguez. And nobody talked about that as well. The fact that there was a young kid in the movie who was a lead. Well, technically Smalls was the lead. Benny was more of the supporting, but Benny, a Latin kid in the 50s, was destined to become of what to aspire to.
Yes, exactly.
Come on now.
Huge.
Come on, history.
Get it together.
Exactly.
Well, now the time has come, my friend. The big reveal, number one. You say
The Great White Hope.
Great White Hope.
I know it's your number one, brother.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, dude, we both gotta agree on this one.
Very much so. His only Oscar-nominated performance for Best Actor. However, what got him that EGOT was the honorary
lifetime, the honorary Oscar.
Indeed, because of all his monumental work that he's given.
I knew of the piece, The Great White Hope.
Yeah.
I knew of it. I never officially read it because they said it's a big piece. Like, there's a lot of actors in that play.
Yes.
What I saw on that camera, I saw the birth of a real star. I saw the commanding presence of a god figure to me. I saw the elements of August Wilson.
Yes.
A character that was so unapologetic.
Yep.
And didn't ask for anything. Worked, fought, scrapped, earned everything.
Yep.
And yet the system in the world still tried to break them.
Yep.
Because they were born in the wrong time. And because they chose to go against the grain and against the system. It's a biopic about Jake Johnson. I want to say it's not completely accurate though. You know, it's film, it's theater, it's film, TV. We took certain liberties.
Indeed. And especially for this case, changing his last name to Jefferson.
Yes.
Yeah.
10 years he fought, but had to deal with hard discriminations and more in the South. They finally did pardon him, but when in that position, you became the sacrifice. He was the first black man to fight white men and contenders to become the heavyweight champion of the world, but yet white America wanted that belt back.
Right.
It was a show. We wanted to give people in the audience something to consider. Back in the day, in those auction block eras, there were black men who would fight against each other on the block for the amusement of white people.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, even back in the days, the Mandingo fighting as well, all of that. In this era, white people dominated the sport of boxing. Black people did not have a chance of actually being in that spotlight. So when they brought a black man like him up, they only brought him up to make the white contender look better. But when the black man started defeating the white man, it wasn't fair. And then the black man was flaunting, or they believed he was flaunting. I think he was just being who he wanted to be. But he was living his life openly as a black man, as a champion, dating a white woman. And during that history and era, blacks and whites were not supposed to be together. Even if you were the champ. So this story, man, this system did everything that they could to break this man. They arrested him on trumped up charges, ultimately because he was across a state line with a white woman. And then in order for him to escape the charges and whatever, he fled and went to Europe, tried to fight and do what he could to hold and protect that championship. But ultimately, he only had two options: return to the States, give back the title, and serve your time in jail, or stay on the run for the rest of your life. And he stayed on the run for a long time. But as he stayed on that run, man, he began to resent the woman that he thought he was sacrificing everything for.
Right.
This movie was in your face, punch you. And then in the end, bro.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's so...
It's like they want me to go down, but I don't want to go down. But if I got to go down, I'm going to go down the way I want to go down.
I want to go down, yeah.
So I climbs in with him. And I'm doing all right for a youngster when all at once he bulls me up against the tent side of that ring and slam, wham. Somebody behind there conks me right through the canvas, and they must have used a 2x4. And every time I stand up, he pushes me back again, and whomp, there's another one, down it comes. Now that's the way the living go the way I know it, baby.
Sometimes.
All the way now. That's why it is, and that's what I'm getting. And I'm gonna get it the same saying, yes or no, say it don't matter what I do. Men now, you understand? And I don't want you watching. Help him. Ask him. Having any of your shit about living or anything from you but out, and I need out.
I feel like with this character, he carried a lot of his dad into this performance. I think he carried a lot of his grandfather, his grandmother. I think he carried the times that he grew up in, and he just put it all into this character. Even the final moments with his bride, I saw the Shakespeare Othello come out. I saw
it. Literally, it's right there, right there,
bro.
I see him in this just raw, epic, strong army warrior, just like being right where we're introduced to him. He is punching and punching and punching and punching.
This is the character. I'm breaking this down. I'm just a man. I'm getting in the ring. I'm throwing the punches, not you.
Right.
I'm getting my ass kicked.
Potentially risking my own life.
I'm like literally, are you going to die on that mat with me? No, you're going to be sad that I died on that mat, but you're going to move on. I don't represent you. I represent me. I just so happen to look like you, but I don't represent you.
Right.
So I think that is the burden and the pain of what it feels like to be black in this country and to do what we do and to be where we are, because it is this immense pressure to represent an entire race of people. And if we make one mistake or one error, our own community will never let us live that down. Ever. That is a pressure unlike any pressure.
Right.
To see that represented on camera the way it was, and then to see a character who was black fight back against it. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It's the rawest I've ever seen James. James is such a polished, beautiful man that has an edge, but he controls it.
Right. And and once again, the chemistry that he built with Jane Alexander is just second to none.
What a beautiful performance that she gave in that film. And once again, final moments too. I saw everything in the eyes.
So rich. And her film debut too. Incredible.
No way.
Very first film. Because all that theater training, all the theater that she did, especially with doing the play and then earning a Tony for it as well. The kinship is reunited for film, for cinema.
A great theater actor and a great artist in general can adapt to any circumstance or setting in which they're placed in. Exactly. And I believe wholeheartedly, James, he might think that, but his performance changed everything for me when I watched him in that one.
Yep.
I saw the genesis. I saw why August. I saw why Lloyd. I saw why people like Denzel wanted to emulate him. I saw everything in that performance alone, and how he went on to, even as he got close to the end of his life, working with Vanessa Redgrave, doing all these shows off Broadway, working with Cicely Tyson. I saw the seeds that were planted from that film that made its way into throughout his history and his legacy as of now.
All that work, the long body of work, finally getting his due credit with just like award after award after award, with Kennedy Center honors and the National Medal of Arts given to him by the president, given to the SAG Lifetime Achievement Award, that honorary Oscar, just on top of everything, to then getting his own theater now out here on Broadway, the James Earl Jones Theater. Incredible.
It was a time when guys like him were never allowed to be on that
more than any other actor in the world.
On 42nd Street, or anything in Manhattan, they were not allowed to be there. And now a black man has a theater named after him. If that ain't Black history, brother, I don't know what is.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that brother not only was making Black history and is celebrated for Black history, but he was making Black history every day. So he didn't even need a month or a theater. But I'm glad that he got it.
Yes, well deserved.
Glad that he got his theater.
Same.
Well deserved.
Whether you watch television and anything, especially if you still hear that logo.
This is CNN.
Even when you watch the top 10 coolest things said by James Earl Jones on David Letterman, have you ever watched this?
No, actually, I didn't.
I will send it to you. It is one of the most hilarious things.
Top 10 things that sound cool when spoken by James Earl Jones. Here we go, number 10.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah.
That's how I know James had such a great sense of humor. Parody and satire is not a bad thing.
Not at all. I mean, it's what makes you just human every day,
And James was the true definition of human. He was excellent. He was brilliant. He was flawed, but he channeled it into his work and he really gave to people. Artists like that, I miss truly, but again, they're never gone.
Never.
Their body of work lives on.
I love it.
Thank you, James.
You give me a break, for God's sake.
Dude, this is amazing. I love you so much.
Love you too, bud.
So much. And I dare say, for every single one of you, check out Stefan's website. Check out his amazing work. He's got tons of it. His award-winning short soundtrack is actually doing amazing things and is entered so much of festivals. And so you will catch it within streaming, I know 1000%. So please follow him and catch up on all the great work that he is doing. And please, if you like this, please click like. If you haven't already, why haven't you subscribed? Please, it's right there for you. Please listen in the comments below of mentioning any of your favorite James Earl Jones performances. Let us know in the comments. We always love hearing all about it. And so with that, I thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for continuously subscribing and continuously following. I am Alex.
And I'm Stefan.
We praise you guys and hope you guys continue to keep on watching and preserving classic films and keep classic films alive.